Good morning and welcome. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Terry Burmeister. I'm CEO and President of Catapult Systems, and I'm excited to have you join our first virtual venue that we have for our Secure Remote Workforce Summit. Today's venue is really designed for all of you to really help us really work together, learn through your peers, and work through some of the experiences that you guys all have had over the course of the last several months that we've experienced as we've all had to go and move our resources and our teams remote. Every industry has been impacted over the last several months with the move to a remote workforce. And our goal today is really to take this avenue and really learn together and learn from each other. I'm completely honored and excited to have David Totten join me from Microsoft. David is the Chief Technology Officer and is going to be our keynote speaker for the day. David has played many roles and been with Microsoft for nearly 16 years. He is a very active member in the partner community. His team that he supports works in tandem with the partner community, helping solve business problems that many of you face on a daily basis. The roles that David has played in his tenure at Microsoft have varied from sales all the way to the Chief of Staff for David Willis, who's Corporate Vice President. So it's truly an honor to have David join us today. And he is going to kick us off with kind of highlighting some insights around securing that remote worker for your organizations. David, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Let me pull up my presentation here and make sure everybody can see it all right, okay?
Yep. You are up, David.
Good to go. Fantastic. Well, listen, thank you for hosting. I've been excited about this event for a really long time. Catapult, you guys always do phenomenal, really value-driven events with your customers, and appreciate your partnership. And as Terry mentioned in the introduction, I am our Chief Technology Officer here in the US and functionally responsible for making sure that we build and help take to market and accelerate solutions with our partners. Catapult is one of those specific partners that we've worked with for a number of years. And when you think about Microsoft and the genesis of our organization all up, we've been a channel first company for a really long time. And we rely on partners to help us scale and get that last mile of productivity out of our application set. To the millions of customers and billions of people who touch Microsoft products every single day. And Catapult, boy, I've worked with Terry and the team for probably going on 10, 12 years now. And I love to see how your business continues to evolve, continues to innovate over time and develop new solutions to drive value for our mutual customers. Listen, I've been excited about this event for a long time. I get to wear a jacket and a button-down shirt. So thank you, Terry and the Catapult team, for allowing me for this. I'm at my brand new stand-up desk, which is pretty cool. It's actually just an old craft table with a bunch of shoe boxes stacked up. But the point is, we're all trying to be a little bit creative about how we do work. And I've got 3 kids that claim to be mine downstairs under the age of 9 that are also doing homeschooling. And so, Wi-Fi cuts out, bandwidth issues, we're all dealing with this. So I apologize in advance if we have any network connectivity issues. I promise I'll join right back in again. Listen, the Microsoft Cloud, I always like to start with this particular slide because I really want to ground everybody on what Microsoft stands for and how that fits into the Catapult mission as well. Our job is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And think about the gravity of that scale, right? It's really about putting technology in the hands of people to go out and solve real world problems. Very, very important for us because we realize people can do more with technology. You can be more efficient. You can drive more innovation. You can solve bigger and better problems. And we want to be that trusted partnership for you and your cloud journey. Catapult made a bet on us early on, and it's worked out, right, for both parties. We can develop a series of services that are innovative and comprehensive across multiple cloud fronts. Catapult can deliver IP and services on top of those services to drive actual value to you, the end customer. But we're trying to touch as many people as possible. And so we look for these opportunities in the marketplace to drive that scale through partners like Catapult. But I always want to ground people in the Microsoft Cloud and what our actual mission is, which is trying to get, there's 2.5, well, think about that. There's 2.5 on the planet Microsoft single day. And if we don't have partners who are developing really neat and innovative products and helping customers reach additional customers or fix their supply chain or drive, partnership and distribution relationships forward, nobody will really realize that technology around the world. And so the scale of what we do every day is so critical to solving, again, these real world problems that we're dealing with. We've been in a little bit of a whirlwind. I was talking to my team this past week. We had our monthly business review, which is a process we do here at Microsoft. It's technically where the executives get you into a room for 3 hours and provide feedback on how you're performing and or disappointing their expectations. Mine aren't that way. I'm very kind and gentle in our conversations. It's very uplifting and full of positive energy. But what I will say is I hear a consistent theme from my management team, which is screen fatigue. And, when the coronavirus first hit, there was this moment, I think we all experienced it, where it was like, oh, I had a trip planned, but now I'm going to cancel it. And, oh, we got to make sure that the schools are staying safe, and there's really no sports that are happening. And, okay, all the restaurants are closing now. And then you sort of adjust to what's happening. And how Microsoft looks at it, we look at the COVID crisis in a factor of sort of 3 different vectors, right? First being, just can I connect to the employees? And that's the first pillar of COVID response, which is, do I know where my people are? Do I know that they're safe? Do I know that I can still operate my business accordingly, right? The second piece of COVID response is, okay, now that I know where everybody is and what they're supposed to be doing, can I maintain my customer relationships? Can I maintain my supplier distribution chain relationships? The third piece of COVID, which is where we are right now, is all about now, how do I accelerate out of this pandemic? We're now 7-8 months in. Every day feels like Groundhog's Day to me. And we're 7-8 months in, and we need to think about how we reinvent our business to acquire new customers or make the customers that we have today even more loyal, better valued clients for us in the future. And that's where our customers are thinking right now. That's where we want to help promote and accelerate your own transformation, right? And these are some scenarios where we have seen the use of technology in brand new operating models, right? Whether it's in virus detection and analytics around where virus hotspots are happening. How do we do telemedicine? I mean, I know telemedicine was a theme. I remember talking about it a couple of years ago and doing a lot of research on it a couple of years ago. Think about where we would be without telemedicine right now within this pandemic. Obviously, I'm proud of our data stack and how we do analytics and modeling to try and predict where the next virus outbreak is coming from, or where we need to put the health services required to solve and support those who are impacted by the virus today. Then obviously just digital transformation along with connection and productivity. And we're going to spend more time specifically about how do I connect and make sure that my information and my employees can connect to their information and their job, and they can connect to their customers and partners wherever they are in the world in a secure and remote fashion. I mean, that's the whole point of why we're doing this summit in the first place, is just trying to really understand how to make sure our employees and our customers are as productive as possible in a safe, secure manner. When I think about the impact of the COVID crisis specifically, again, those 3 vectors continue to remain in the back of my head all the time. And Microsoft has this journey around digital transformation where we want to leverage technology to help you enable your employees, right? Drive greater productivity, where we want you to optimize your operations, save costs, be efficient with where you spend IT. We want to help leverage technology to innovate and deliver new products, right? And we want to transform your relationships through that technology. We've seen no better stance of that than through this COVID-19 crisis. And again, I'll just start with the middle pillar there on the top, enabling remote work and productivity. I feel blessed to work for a technology company. I know that when my kids went to school and they went to elementary school and they stopped doing school and they decided, hey, we're going to do remote learning, that was a shock. First, teachers are vastly underpaid. And if you watch the presidential debate this past week, you'll think about that moderator, Chris Matthews, and you'll realize that kindergarten and first grade teachers particularly are very underpaid as they try and control a classroom of individuals trying to learn and absorb information. Enabling that remote connectivity is a different motion for our teachers. It's a different motion for most of our customers. How do I connect to employees virtually when I'm used to being an in-present process? How do I collect and punch time cards? How do I open up warehouses? How do I think about frontline and factory worker connectivity to what they're supposed to be doing every day? How do I disseminate information to people all over the world in different communities affected differently by the COVID crisis? And so that enabling remote work through a Windows virtual desktop and leveraging the power of Teams as a collaboration platform, obviously we saw a huge spike in that. But just because there was a huge spike doesn't mean people really know how to use the platform the right way, or they're harnessing all the correct power and the complete power of that platform. So it was a huge opportunity for us through COVID of saying, how can Microsoft set up a series of services that can be enabled for remote work and productivity? The other thing that we realized through this COVID crisis is really adapting to changing customer needs. Think about all those small and medium-sized businesses that were only a brick and mortar or a physical location in the past. They've had to completely reinvent how they talk to customers, how they work with customers. I've been very impressed locally. I live in Seattle, where restaurants have completely reinvigorated their operating model to make sure they can attract customers online through promotions and marketing content, but then also obviously take orders and deliver food, set up pickup services and window services, and set up community distribution outlets for some of the extra produce or canned goods that they have. Restaurants have had to continue to evolve their business during this time because nothing's open. If you think about pharmaceutical companies, if you think about healthcare and medical professionals, if you think about anybody who's in the supply chain building raw materials to take product to market, all these businesses have had to reinvent how they connect with suppliers and how they connect with their customers to make sure that they acquire them. They do that through technology. And it's not just about leveraging a new website or enabling e-commerce, right? It's really about, how do I leverage and harness the power of infrastructure at scale, right, to rethink how I build products and build services to take to customers? How do I maintain my base of customers today and acquire more customers in the future? So we've obviously seen a huge impact of COVID crisis. I'm guaranteeing each of you has as well. So let me transition us a little bit on why we think about now is a great time to accelerate digital transformation. I'll tell you the good news and the bad news, right? The good news is there's never been a better time to accelerate digital transformation than right now. And if you think about, again, what we are trying to enable through Microsoft is, we want you to define your business outcome. What do you want to do better, right? Do you want to save money? Do you want to connect with your employees better? Do you want to make your employees more productive? Do you want to show more value and innovate new products and services so that you can win new customers? You have to think about your outcome. And then you got to call a partner like Catapult to say, okay, I know what I want to do. And this guy Totten at Microsoft told me that there's a technology product out there that can help solve this problem for me. Where do I start, right? But these are some areas, right, where we need to accelerate digital transformation and why we would want to do it. First, just talk about data and privacy and security. Like, risk management is a gigantic opportunity right now. Obviously, for us, the do-gooders in the world, right, who are trying to protect and secure and manage data in a compliant and private way. But also think about the explosion of scams and cybersecurity threats that have spun up in the past year. I had a boss who one time told me about security. I was working on a database product, and he told me, we can goof up a product. We can kind of make the website spin when somebody tries to order something, and customers will be frustrated. But if it's a product they really want, they'll keep coming back. They'll refresh the browser, right? He always told me that they'll refresh the browser. But when you lose customer data, when you lose your data, and you get compromised from a security perspective, there's no coming back from that. You can't go to a customer and be like, hey, I know somebody got into our database and stole all your social security numbers and your credit card information, but our product is really cool, okay? And it's worth the risk for you to give us your data again. So risk management is a huge opportunity. And I know everybody out there who's in an IT role says, I take my job seriously. I invest a lot in security and building the infrastructure required to run our business. But if you think you're investing more than the $10 billion a year that Microsoft is investing in our global delivery centers, right? Our scale data centers around the world that have the best and biggest security in the world, so much so the government, right? Agencies everywhere around the world continue to trust our security infrastructure. If you think you're investing more in that security than we are, well, let's have a separate conversation in person over coffee, hopefully one time down the road. We invest a lot in our secure infrastructure and how to help you manage risk. And that's a great reason to think about a transformation into cloud services. Moving to the left, cost optimization, huge opportunity for all of us to think about, am I spending money in the right pillars? Am I spending resources and time where I should be spending resources and time? We want every business to focus on what you do best. Leave the IT, the infrastructure, the data, the analytics, the platforms, right? Leave that to what we do best. which is provide this series of IT services and true value-driven services for you to actually optimize your actual business on. If you're looking around at your budget and it's not about what we call producers, right? Revenue people, profit center operations, right? If you're spending a majority of your budget on IT infrastructure and cost to run your business, are you spending it effectively? Is that going to help you get new customers? Is that going to help you think about how to develop the next product that is going to fill a market gap that exists? Which then leads me to the next pillar, which is around growth enablement. This business model adaptability is unbelievable. How people need to think about what we did today may not be relevant tomorrow. And how do we reinvent the products and the services that we deliver, right, as end customers to, again, acquire new customers or keep our existing customers happy. And so you got to leverage technology, and you have to understand where there's gaps in the marketplace. You know, this is, I'm going to sound like an old guy now, but when I was a kid growing up, you know, I was trying to explain to my dad what I do, which is just a whole bucket of fun to explain to a farmer. So I was trying to explain to him, like, just in general what technology is and what digital transformation means. And when I was a kid, I distinctly remember being told by my parents, you know, you don't talk to strangers, you don't be friendly with strangers, you certainly don't get into a car with strangers, you don't take candy from a stranger, right? And before this pandemic hit, you know, and I was telling him this story, I used to actually fly into different cities, right? And on my way out of town, I would punch in my home address on my cell phone. I would summons a stranger, okay? I would have that stranger come pick me up. I would get in their car. I would snack on their mints, right? And I would leave with that stranger to the airport. And that's digital transformation. That business model didn't exist, right? What, 3 years ago? We've continued to find gaps or value-driven services in our economy to increase the leverage of technology out there. And so how do we continue to innovate as a people, as an economy, as a society, as a country? We can leverage technology to find new opportunities to drive value and, again, make every individual more efficient and more productive in their lives. And then finally, rapid time to value. I usually start with this, hence it's on the left side of the slide, but I wanted to finish with this one because we've never seen the need to innovate as quickly as we have right now. You know, speaking of the presidential debates, there was a lot of discussion. I promise you people were fact checking, right, yesterday during that conversation. The ability to drive quantifiable return on investment and really run models around what will work and what won't work in a real-time basis. Think about the development cycles that used to go into code or product development, where you used to have to work on something, check it in, have somebody else check it out, work on it. Now you've got this co-authoring, co-development work that happens in real time. And you can create and spin up a virtual machine or an analytics engine in no time, as opposed to purchasing, building, provisioning, making sure that that server is secure, and then actually doing code work on it. Now you can do that in the span of seconds, a process that used to take weeks. That rapid time to value, both for managing new products and then also obviously scaling. If you have a specific product that became hot and heavy during COVID times, you have to scale your infrastructure to support that. And you can do that so much more quickly now by leveraging cloud services and technology. All right. So just quickly touching on the workplace then, I remember these days fondly. I remember these days sitting down in front of a PC on an office network, you know, driving in my 99 Honda Accord and popping in there and saying, hey, I'm here, let the magic begin. And I really did say that. You can ask my team. So, you know, that used to be the workplace. And if you think about where we're engaging with now, it's about trying to make sure that we collaborate and we connect with people, whether we're at the desk, whether we're on a device in my home, in my upstairs suite here, right? Whether or not we're collaborating with people from different languages, across different functions, across different geographic bounds. And that process of connecting with different people, co-authoring, and being able to do it in a secure remote way is so critical in what we do every single day. And you'll notice here, when you look at these pictures, there's people together. They're not practicing social distancing. They're not wearing their masks. I'm cautiously optimistic that this pandemic will end at some point in time. We will find a close to this and we will be able to meet again in person. But it won't ever be the same. Now that we know how productive and powerful we can be remotely, You'll see less businesses rent real estate, as an example. Less businesses spend for in-person, on-premises infrastructure because you can connect and support and do so much more work virtually now. I miss business travel. I miss going out and seeing our customers and shaking hands and learning about different businesses. I'm an advocate and frankly an addict to learning about different business models and how executives across the country think about growing their business and attracting new customers, and the mission that each of our customers and partners are sort of on in their own right. And I miss those conversations. I used to really enjoy and love those conversations. Now I do it all virtually. Like I said, I'm so thankful of Catapult for the opportunity to put a jacket on, okay, and speak to you all today about the power of workforce transformation in a secure and productive way. But don't worry about that. I'm going to back up here for a second. I don't know if you can see me or not. I'm still wearing shorts. I'm still working from home. It's sort of the best of both worlds, where I get to connect with a great partner like Catapult. I can do it remotely. I can do this at any point in time from my own home, but I can still feel like I'm a part of the action. And how we collaborate and drive business innovation from a virtual experience is not going away. And we're going to continue to need to innovate on business models as a result. You know, there's some additional data here where we are in the middle of the crisis, again, where everybody has to sort of figure out their response. I don't know what wave we're in the US. It's phase 2, phase 3. I don't know if we're wave 2 or wave 3 of what the disease and the pandemic has really impacted people. But I also think about the dissemination of information and how quickly now data is both collected and it travels. And we need cloud infrastructure to help scale that. And you as a business need to think about how do you scale and drive value to your customers in a much different mechanism. Again, I think we're going to go back eventually to going into the office and showing up every day and logging into our computers. But for now, we've got to think about how to distribute and define that technical advantage leveraging cloud services in the modern space. So let's talk quickly. You're going to get a whole dose of modern workplace today with the folks from Catapult and the great speakers they've got lined up. And I want to just quickly ground everybody on when Microsoft says modern workplace, what does that mean? You know, and I typically don't like to talk about products. We kind of think about, again, the set of services that will drive a specific outcome that will help customers, you know, find value in leveraging technology. But I think the suite of products that we have here to tie this in is really, really important. And Office 365, of course, you know, is our online productivity and collaboration platform. But we also think about modern workplace with the enterprise mobility and security. How do we log in? How do we do multi-factor authentication? How do you leverage something like Azure Active Directory to make sure that your experience is federated and connected through every piece of Microsoft technology you touch? We have this little product called Windows. You know, when I first joined Microsoft, we were known as a Windows company. We were known as a Windows company. We were doing some work in Office. And then according to my mother-in-law, I also was a printer support technician. Okay. And so with Windows and how we think about, you know, where we've evolved over time, now it's about the device. It's about where you're accessing your set of services. You know, even up to like 5-6 years ago, we wouldn't put Office on the iPad because we wanted to drive Surface product innovation and Surface adoption in the marketplace. And we know Office was a great product that so many people love to use. Satya has come in with a brand new energy, and he's really focused on, again, developing the set of services, regardless of how you come into the service model. We care about connecting that experience through identity and security for you, regardless of where you come in from. Surface PC is where I'm dialing in today, but any PC, any sort of experience online, you can connect to services by leveraging our identity and authentication methods. And finally, obviously, the Microsoft Surface. We just announced a new dual screen phone that is up for pre-release called the Duo. As a proud owner of the Microsoft Kin, which was released 10 years ago, for all of you millennials out there, please go do some research on the Microsoft Kin. I use it as my alarm clock. Man, I sound like a dork when I say that, but I love the Kin. I thought it was a great idea. Let's just say I'll wait a little bit before I buy the Duo. But I really love the construct of having a work plus personal device that is easier to use and easier to manipulate. You think about how often we're on our phones, and the time sometimes is just to put your phone away and just to engage with your family and your friends in a personal way. If you can be more productive on the time that you have to have your phone in front of you and deliver work and value at the same time, why not leverage a more powerful device like Duo to go get that done? So the collection of these products is what we would refer to as sort of our modern workplace suite. And that enables things like security, compliance, privacy for your information. But it's also about the productivity that we're driving with collaboration, workflow, content, mobility. And then obviously from an IT management perspective, how do we think about managing that entire ecosystem of applications and services, making sure that everybody who's using a specific application or service knows why they're using it and how to use it more productively. And then how do we actually ingrain, right, all that information and data for this connected experience, knowledge, data, analytics. And the lower left-hand corner there talks about platform. I talk about Teams, which if you're not familiar, we're on Teams right now, as an unbelievable platform for the future, right? Again, like I used to say, we used to be a Windows company and people would log in and join the Windows operating system. I think about Teams like an operating system today. I very rarely open email. Now I focus most of my time in Teams. I log in and I get into Teams and I see chat and I can co-author in there. I can see my meetings, my calendars. I can take notes. I see whiteboards and recorded sessions from meetings I've had in the past. I can follow along with team activity directly within Teams. I can connect securely to Catapult's Teams instance, right, when we're preparing for this particular presentation. That as a platform where I do most of my work, I collaborate and I divide and conquer with my organization, all within Teams, is a very powerful application. So I think about Teams, right, as the true platform that all of this is pulled into together. The experience, the data, the knowledge, plus they know who I am and what my preferences are and how I can be more productive every single day. And when I think about that, how we want to think about engaging and transforming the overall workplace collaboration story, I just talked about teamwork and calling in meetings. Obviously, we see that need now. If you weren't on calling in meetings and before, and obviously you are now, right, where people aren't meeting in person. And we think Teams is obviously the most secure, robust platform for that. I've read in the blogs, the interwebs, that there's other products that do calling and meetings out there. We believe in Teams. We believe in the connected services that Teams provide. We believe in the fact that you can actually take notes and have a whiteboard and collaborate real time while on a call. We believe you can record with transcriptions and all kinds of other services within Teams. And so how you connect and collaborate with your peers in a virtual environment is very, very effective. And that leads then to the business intelligence and how we drive AI and analytics and workflow and how we do predictive modeling in the Teams application to help you identify what your next step or what your next meeting is supposed to do. One of my managers just yesterday sent me an email about she was on her phone and she was dictating to the phone, an iPhone from a company out of California. And she said, "Hey, iPhone lady, set up a meeting for 10 a.m. today." And Cortana, our digital assistant, actually does that within Outlook, right? And of course, then that federates to a Teams experience and your calendar across the world. It sends the invite to that particular person as well. The ability to use natural language processing and then analytics for who you're meeting with and who's collaborating with you is such an important workforce transformation construct that so many companies haven't figured out yet. You need to figure out these pockets of who's working with who for what purpose in order to, again, optimize your headcount, optimize your resources so that they're not spending time trying to find the subject matter expert. They're finding times innovating and driving customer value for you. So leveraging the business intelligence and the AI capabilities within our modern workplace format is critically important. And we call that all connected through this fluid framework. The experience you have in LinkedIn is the exact same experience we want you to have and integrated into Dynamics 365, into our modern workplace stack, on your Windows PC, if you're dialing in from a Mac or some iPhone product. We want that fluid framework all connected to who you are, your identity, your individualism, and the work that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. We're also continuing to innovate. If I think about where our Teams platform and product was several months ago, we didn't have a ton of this stuff. If you've watched any sports recently, the NBA, which by the way, I think the NBA finals are kicking off this week. I'm a Portland Trailblazer fan, and I'm not overly obnoxious about it. Totally obnoxious about it. But point is, they're not in the finals, so I don't care. We use together mode in the NBA, and it's actually a really cool function where fans can get together and it shows up as the screen. We joke a lot about this in team meetings today, where you get a group of people together and you do a together mode photo. And it is the new get together in a person, right? In person and sit in front of a building and take a picture from up high where we see each other and the ability to be in the same virtual experience together. We're continuing to innovate on that process, extending meetings up to 1,000 participants. Now we're using chat bubbles and voice transcriptions. Now you can do voice transcriptions to speaker attribution. And this is all persistent data that's stored and accessed at any point in time, again, in a secure, compliant way. That's all accessible after the meeting. So if somebody misses the meeting, they can come back and really get a sense for what the meeting was about by watching the replay, by reading the transcriptions, by following along with the chat. And they can do that all from a virtual experience, right? We also are announcing breakout rooms. We have breakout rooms here internally. Some of you may have already been on the beta release of breakout rooms. This was a big requirement for schools and teachers, right? As they think about taking a primary classroom and then breaking it out into work study groups. So the fact that we're now enabling this and rolling that out across the world in a scaled format is really, really cool, right? And so these are examples of constant innovation that's happening and are going to define the future of collaboration for all of us. And finally, the final point I'll make is, all right, Totten, you love your products. We get it. You love the value that you guys are creating over there. But how do you do that together? How do you drive productivity without compromising that security? And that's the question. That's the million-dollar question. How do we continue to drive innovation and make sure employees are productive, but we do it in a secure fashion? And oftentimes when we think about being productive, it's quick. I need this task, go do it. But do we do that securely? Are we mishandling data? Are we mishandling process? Are we taking shortcuts because we're more productive? And it's a very delicate balance that we take very seriously here within Microsoft. And I will tell you, we are built on the foundation of trust at this company. And in fact, we don't talk about it enough because we're so used to being the enterprise leader in security and infrastructure services. We've been there for 40 years now, that we don't actually talk about our competitive advantage around secure and productivity. And for me, it's really simple. It's tied down to the user. It's tied down at the identity layer. It's tied down to Azure Active Directory. And how do I have a seamless, connected, collaborative experience across any product or service that I touch? Instead of having to log in every single thing I do, instead of having to go search for a piece of functionality, I can do it all within the same application hub. And it's really about getting people more comfortable and more confident in what they need to do to collaborate and work with people differently in the future in this new virtual and COVID crisis world. And we do that with security being the bedrock of it. So you don't have to think about it. You can just trust that Microsoft is secure. It's what they stand on, it's what they built on, it's what they've done for 40 years. It's the reason why we're the most adopted technology company of any Fortune 1000 company in the world, right? That secure platform of how we think about driving an on-premises connected experience to cloud services, but all along our own secure, compliant, and private pathway, and that connected experience based on you, the individual and the organization that you work for, is one of the hallmarks of what we do. And so we will continue to drive innovation and productivity, but we never do that at the sake of ensuring security and privacy through that journey. Again, you can goof a product up. You know, it might not work like you want it to work, but if you lose customer data, you lose them forever. And we're not going to lose your trust based on going a shortcut for driving innovation without making sure it's secure and compliant. Okay, and we do that through a couple of mechanisms. Threat protection obviously is a huge piece of that. We're seeing right now with COVID. Information protection for when you're in the application, how do you protect data and exchanging in and out of that platform? And we do that obviously, like I talked about, as the overall engagement of cloud security on the on-premise plus cloud management plane, and then identity and access management. If I'm an individual, I've got Active Directory, what can I connect to and what do I have access to? All right, so that's a lot. It's 7 hours of content. I got 30 minutes, and I could talk for days. I just want to make sure that you're clear on our commitment to innovation, that you're clear on what Microsoft believes is a phenomenal opportunity for you as a customer to accelerate your business, to invent and innovate new ways to drive value to your customers. And really, you know, again, if you think about our mission, 2.5 billion people every day touch this technology. That's not because I call 1 million people today, 1 million people tomorrow. It's about you and how you leverage the products. It's about partners like you who take the technology and drive real value to the last mile, to put it in the hands of customers that can use it to spend their time more effectively, to solve the problems they need to go solve. And so when I think about the application of our mission, empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more, it's about the scale. of how do we think about doing work differently, and how do we drive workforce transformation in a fashion that can enable everybody to do better. Just do better. If everybody around the planet wakes up every day with the same goal of being better today than they were yesterday, and if our technology can help just a little bit more in that mission, then we've done our job. And that's why I think, our framework of how we want you to think about what technology and what cloud opportunity could mean for you and the value you're driving to your clients is so critically important. And Catapult is right here. Catapult, like I said, I've been working with for a number of years now. And it's really not about today I'm not in the cloud, tomorrow I'm all in on the cloud. You have to sit down and think about what's the right workload and the right process, what's the right outcome I'm trying to enable, near term, midterm, long term. And you got to sit down with a Catapult consultant, and you've got to really dig deep into what you want to do and how technology can help enable that. And only through that conversation of developing a true strategy roadmap can you then get to the steps of evaluation, implementation, and ongoing services and support. And the good news is that Catapult, again, has a full day of content, but a lifetime of experience of taking customers just like you through that journey. Fast or slow, the transformation is happening, and we encourage everybody to get on board, call your Catapult representative, and just think about what technology can do to enable your value and your transformation in this world. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Terry. Thank you very much for the opportunity again to present and put a jacket on, and I look forward to the rest of the day.
Hey, David, thank you. And someone, let me know if you can see my slide, guys.
That we can.
All right. So first and foremost, great keynote as always, David. I can't thank you enough, and I think you left everyone with a lot to think about. When you think of these, the challenging times that we've all been working through, and the thing I share with our team on a regular basis, that through this there's opportunity and change that's right at our fingertips, and through technology. I can't think that we, for us being in this industry, it's a great opportunity for all of you to really take advantage of kind of the highlights that David's left us with, as well as the tracks that you guys are going to have the ability to participate in today. So for just a few housekeeping, if you just bear with me, I know there's a link in the chat window that Sam put up for all the different sessions that are taking place today, as well as you all should have received them via email prior to the event. There's two tracks. There's both a business track as well as a technology track. So a total of like 14 webinars going on throughout the day. A couple of things, there are some limited seating. We had great attendance and that of folks signing up. So if you can join the sessions a little early, I would highly encourage you to do that. For midday, there's also going to be 6 sessions that are really Ask the Experts, which I think you'll find extremely beneficial. Those sessions are covering security, teams, Power Apps, productivity, custom applications, and then internet experts as well. So I think, as you can see, we kind of touched in all of them. We'll go from obviously the technology focus, as well as how can we drive business results, which is top of mind for everyone. The only other thing I wanted to kind of highlight is that we've got, toward the end of the day, we're going to wrap with a customer panel. So I'm extremely excited to have customers join us. And this panel is for your benefit to be able to see, kind of hear their stories on what impact and there's a variety of industries that gentlemen we're going to be speaking with, and let them share their stories of what they went through, the impacts that COVID had throughout the pandemic, not only on the onset, but even how they're looking at driving their business forward post-pandemic. So we've got Matt Burrioli from he's the AVP from Randolph Brooks from Federal Credit Union. We've got Reginald Williams, who will be joining us. He's the CIO and Security Officer for Commerce. And then we've got Glenn McCullen from Frost Banking, and he's the endpoint architect. So I think if nothing else, please make sure to stop back in at the end of the day. I think it's important to hear kind of what their journey and what they experienced and heard firsthand from some of our customers. I know we have our next session starting at 10:20, so you've got a little break here. So grab some coffee, grab a snack, and thank you all for tuning in this morning, and look forward to regrouping at the end of the day. Thank you.